Here we go in three, two, one.
Folks, what is up? Welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. You are here with Blake and Austin, and we're here to talk all things volunteer sports. And today, Austin, could be yet again another breaking news coming straight from Vol Talk kind of day. We are sitting here in what we have dubbed the Vol Talk War Room. Austin's got Twitter pulled up. He is anxiously awaiting any drops of information on the Tony Vitello situation. And if Tony Vitello is leaving us or if he is making out like Peyton Manning and Trey Smith and Stang at the University of Tennessee. So Austin's going to let us know if any news drops on that. But Austin, today is technically all about Kentucky. We are licking our wounds from last week. We're not going to talk about that. We're forward thinking. And now we got the Wildcats. We're heading up to Lexington to face the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, man. Time to see how the team bounces back. It's a long season, and let's be honest, we did not have a very fun result last week. But you have to continue on in the SEC. Now it's another SEC road test against a team that is bad. Okay, Kentucky's bad. I think Kentucky fans would agree with me on that. However, they do play teams tough. Texas just had a scare in Lexington last week. A lot of that thanks to Arch Manning and him being bad at football. But they took Texas into overtime, man. It's a gritty team, especially in Lexington. It's going to be cold up there this time of year as well, so that's going to be a factor. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the team responds because this team could. I think people are talking. Hey, if we went out, could we still make the playoffs? I think we could. But you have to stack wins together, and more importantly to me, Blake, you have to stack good performances together, which we really haven't done all year as far as consistent 60 minutes, all sides of the ball, all three phases of the game, play well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we were talking, Austin, about the fact that I don't know what kind of twilight zone we're living in, but we're in a situation where if we can win out, then all of a sudden you end up in a game at the end of the year against Vanderbilt where you might be in a literal elimination game.
Yes.
Who's in? Us or Vanderbilt?
Crazy.
And so it's absolutely wild. But to your point, that conversation doesn't happen if you don't win out and if you don't win well against teams that you should beat. Bottom line is, spoiler alert, we should beat Kentucky, right? But we'll get into all that as always, folks. We'll, for our preview shows, we always go over the Vols offense versus the opposing team's defense. So we'll look at that. And then, of course, we'll look at our defense versus the Kentucky offense and then give our official score predictions at the end of the preview. So stick around for that. And as always, folks, let us know in the comments. Drop your comment with your official score prediction for Tennessee versus Kentucky as we head up to play the Wildcats. And then, Austin, at the end of it all, we're going to be watching for Tony V updates throughout the show. But, of course, at the very end, we will still kind of talk about the latest on Tony Vitello, and then of course give our kind of thoughts on that situation so far. But the reason we're watching for news updates, folks, is as of the time of this recording, Tony V is in public eye at a scrimmage, right, Austin? They announced this scrimmage today.
Correct.
It's open to the public. So we're sitting on pins and needles. It would be very cruel if they did that and then he said nothing about it
yes,
throughout
it would.
the day. So
yes, it would.
We'll see how that goes. But as always, folks, look, if you're here on the Vol Talk channel, I gotta assume you love the Vols. So give us some love, drop us a like on the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Austin, we have been blown away by our subscriber growth. In fact, Austin, at the beginning of football season, I'm pretty sure we've quadrupled since the beginning of football season, have we not?
We
in
have.
subscriber count.
We had. I mean, dude, and just in July we had like 170 subscribers. So it's been wild growth. Appreciate that from y'all. Showing support on the clips, showing support on the live shows, the long form content as well. And these preview shows, y'all have, shown a lot of support on those as well. So thank you all.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So we really appreciate that. So again, as always, do the like, do the subscribe, and then drop us a comment. Let us know your thoughts on all of this, including your official score predictions. But without further ado, we will jump into the preview. So as always, we will start with the Volunteer offense versus the Kentucky defense. Austin, you said it at the top of the show. It's all about how do you bounce back, especially for our quarterback, Joey Aguilar, who unfortunately we love him, but probably made the game defining mistake.
He did.
So how does Joey Aguilar
And
bounce
and
back?
that's the thing. That's the thing. He made the game defining mistake, and it's unfortunate because that had swung the game so much in Alabama's favor. However, throw to throw, he wasn't batting in the Alabama game. He did a lot of what he did all year. The problem is that one mistake, and then the safety, which I also put on Aguilar. That's 16 points in the other team's favor, Blake. So, pretty brutal there. However, I expect more of the same because he wasn't even bad in the Alabama game. It's just a couple mistakes decided the game. But yeah, I mean, Aguilar's been fantastic all year, and it's unfortunate. Some of it hasn't been his fault as well, Blake. We've been talking about the receivers and how in the Alabama game, 5 out of the 6 receivers with a target in the game had a drop. So all of them were dropping the ball. Mike Matthews in particular, I was pretty tough on him. I've calmed down a little bit since the Alabama review. However, Mike Matthews, in big moments has dropped passes this year that have cost us points. He did it against Alabama 3rd and 19, and then against Mississippi State, he probably dropped a touchdown on a deep ball. I'm looking for. We weren't able to really hit any of the explosives against Alabama. That made a difference in the game, Blake. We had a couple explosive run plays, but no real explosive pass plays in this game or that last game. So have to get back on track with that against Kentucky. And then another thing, Blake, we have to finish drives. Like I said, 400 yards against Alabama, only 20 points to show for that. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. They need to be better in the red zone. Hopefully, no more pick sixes on the 1 yard line would be ideal. But yeah, I mean, finish these drives because the offense consistently moves the ball. It's what's so frustrating about it, dude, is that at times it just feels unstoppable. Like no one can stop it. No matter what we're doing, whether it's running the ball, throwing the ball, intermediate level, deep balls, like everything is working. But then there's times where it just doesn't, and it's just kind of inexplainable because it's all within a game. It's all within the same game. So yeah, just looking for consistency on that side of the ball and finishing drives, and receivers not letting Aguilar down, which has really happened consistently all year.
Unfortunately, we definitely need to shore up these mistakes and these drop passes because that absolutely killing us for sure has led to, like you said, a few turnovers that weren't really Joey's fault. And then, of course, missed opportunities is the biggest thing. And look, Kentucky is not a fantastic team. Their defense is not is not the greatest, and yet we're playing at Kentucky, and so you really, I mean, just like any road game, especially in the SEC, Austin, you can't afford to make mistakes. So definitely got to see that improve with the receivers and all across the team. But what about the run game, Austin? So we got Deshaun Bishop in the thumbnail. He had a great game against Alabama, despite the situation. Talk us through what are you looking for from Deshaun Bishop and the rest of the running backs?
Yeah, I mean, I expect more of the same out of Deshaun. He's been great all year. Um, and I think Kentucky's run defense is solid. From some of the numbers I'm looking at, it's not a terrible unit. But I think Deshaun has been the consistent guy of getting explosives in the run game. So again, we're gonna as an offense, man, Heupel his entire time here, explosives have been such an important part of his offense. I mean, you have to create those big plays. And of course, the Sean Bishop's run against Alabama really kept us in the game, starting the second half. And then things fell apart from there. But yeah, I mean, I expect more of the same out of Sean. From an offensive line perspective, Kentucky's, I would say their strength of defense probably is the pass rush. They have a couple situational guys that are really good. Steven Souls, he has 4 sacks on the year from PFF. That might differ from ESPN's numbers because of half sacks and whatnot, but or just general college football stats. And our offensive line, dude, I honestly didn't touch on this enough in the Alabama review because I was so upset with the result of the game. Um, I would say outside of a couple mistakes that led to sacks, they were really good. I mean, they gave Aguilar a really good pocket a lot of the time in that game. I think in the 2 sacks I'm referring to, Blake, were early in the game, and I think that happened because they shuffled the offensive line. They sent Wendell Moe to the other side with Lance Hurd. They kicked Jesse Perry into guard so that they could play David Sanders. And I've been talking all year, Blake, how I pushed back on that idea just because continuity on the offensive line is so important, and playing together as a unit and everyone knowing their assignment. And they were so used to the lineup that had been playing all year. I think in the beginning of the game, it caused some confusion. But I will say they got better. They got better throughout the game, which actually that kind of gives me some encouragement and some hope leading into the rest of the season, because I actually do think you take the continuity element out of it, which you really can't. But if they do get continuity and they play together more, I do think this is the best possible offensive line. I do think that is the best possible because David Sanders, I mean, dude, before the season, I told people, hey, let's wait and see. He's a true freshman. Let him develop. Against Alabama, had like an 84 pass blocking grade in that football game. I mean, that's really good, man. I mean, as a true freshman, that's really, really good. So I'm kind of excited to see the new look offensive line if they continue just playing with that unit. I think Pendleton has been a little bit of a weak spot at center, but overall that line is really, really good. So I'm interested to see if that's the lineup going forward, and I hope it is, man, because our line had been playing really, really well all year up until that first quarter of the Alabama game, and I really do think it was because it was shuffled.
Yeah, and people are excited, like you said, about David Sanders and seeing what he can do. So, but too many times we've been burned by a true freshman, 5-star. Hey, especially as you've pointed out all season, let this guy develop on the offensive line, and so it is absolutely encouraging to see his play so far. Again, folks are excited, so would love to see that continue. And perhaps Kentucky, I mean, you noted their pass rush is potentially the best part of their defense, but it's still not going to be an Alabama level pass rush or even a Georgia level pass rush. And so, maybe it's another good opportunity for this new look offensive line to gel. We'll see. Any other thoughts, Austin, kind of on our offense? So we kind of touched on all the position groups. Any other kind of final words on the offense versus Kentucky defense?
Yeah, I mean, just I would say attack their coverage unit. They have a couple DBs that just aren't playing good football. So hopefully that means we're going to see a couple of these explosives, and generally also looking at the communication element of the offense as well. It's not going to be the Alabama environment. The last Kentucky game I was watching on TV, there was a lot of fans dressed as empty seats. I think they're kind of checked out on the year, to be completely honest with you. But it's still going to be important on the road. And just generally, I mean, this is kind of just a general take on the whole team, but Heupel's performances on the road, man. It's been a historic problem. And, we still haven't had the quote baffling road loss as we talk about a lot, Blake. So this is a spot, this is a spot where that
Yes,
could happen,
could be it.
which
Yeah.
which we don't want to talk about. But it's just the reality. And then also on the offensive side of the ball, clock management. I mean, it's been a problem all year with Heupel. We brought up instances from the Mississippi State game towards the end of regulation when he basically just settled for a Hail Mary shot at the end of the game when he had all kinds of times to set up our kicker for a potential game winning kick in that situation. And then in the Georgia game, after the strip sack, basically settling for a field goal when he could have got to about 2 scores. The Arkansas game had some bad clock management in there, just generally letting his foot off the gas. And then in the Alabama game, towards the end of the half, a lot of people have astutely pointed out since the game and thinking about it for a couple more days. We also pointed out on our review show that Heupel let the clock run down a lot towards the end of the half, and it really condensed the playbook, man. It made it where they weren't hurrying up, first of all, and then he took a timeout at a weird time opposed to taking it sooner. And again, like in that situation, you could have probably ran the ball a little bit more on the goal line had you not let the clock chew. Or, it just, I don't know. It would have been, I think, you would have put your team in a better spot and not like a do or die. Hey, you got to make a quick decision. Like he probably told Aguilar, like, hey, you got to make a quick decision because we have 9 seconds
Mm-hmm.
left, no timeouts. And so that kind of goes into it. And not to mention the play call, in my opinion, wasn't that great. So just these high leverage clock management situations at the end of the half, towards the end of the game, those things are something I'm looking at all year with Heupel because he has been missing on a lot of these situations, man, like in a bad way. And then it brings this question, dude, which I was telling you before the show. People are questioning, can a play caller be a head coach in college football because there's so much else to manage with the team. There's so many other things like game management, game flow situations that you have to manage. And it's hard to be thinking about all those things in your back of your head while you also have to get the play in. So it's just something to consider and just something to keep an eye on. And hopefully it doesn't rear its ugly head in this game.
Really hope so, because this is a game we should win, and we want to avoid that baffling road loss. And so I'm glad you brought that up in particular, Austin, because we focus a lot on the offense and the players and the defense and the players, but we are having to talk more and more about, okay, these. Heupel even said himself in the post game press conference with Alabama that it was kind of in the details. It was in the proof was in the pudding, so to speak, but it was it was in the details. The devil was in the details in the game, and a lot of that came down to the details of how he managed the game in
Yep.
a lot of ways. And so it's definitely, as Austin has said, as we've said on this channel before, we're not sitting here saying that, we think Heupel's on the hot seat or that we need to start, thinking about that or anything like that. It's just a matter of, we talk about players needing to get better, right, Austin?
Yeah.
That includes the coaches. That includes the coaches, and these are clearly things that need to improve. Even if we've won most of our games, whatever, it needs to improve.
Yeah, and I think also acknowledgement of it and needing to improve. And no,
Right.
I would never call for Heupel's job, especially in this spot. Now, things can change. I'm going to leave my opinion open on. I'm not going to say, oh, give him a lifetime deal. Like it's not anything like that. Now with Tony V situation later, maybe I will be saying that, but with Heupel, it's
Yeah.
not that. It's we're not there yet. And again, Blake, going back to the Bama game, that was the disappointment in the Bama game because it was really the first time I felt like we played in a big game like that, where it's like, wow, I don't see a talent deficit. Like I don't see that. It felt more like like you said, it's in the details. It's little mistakes here and there. It's one critical play, which again I think was more on Aguilar than Heupel, but you know, I don't know if he put his player in the best position to succeed on that play. So yeah, just watching that and just watching if again and more so this is a team thing, Blake, but can they have a complete performance, which is something I've been asking
Yes.
for all year long. And when you now have, which you really have had all year outside of the Alabama and Georgia game, when you have such a talent disparity, you should be able to have a complete performance because you are much better than they are. So just play like it.
Exactly. Just do it. That's
So
simple
we
as
don't have
that.
to stress out
Groundbreaking.
another game. We've stressed enough this
Oh,
season.
God. Exactly. Give us a stress-free game, please. Honestly,
Please.
Austin, outside of the cupcakes, I don't think we've had a stress-free game yet this season.
I mean, the
Um,
Syracuse game week 1, but it's like it's a mid-tier ACC team. I mean, like, let's do
Right.
it in the real conference against the SEC, where it's like,
Yeah.
because I talk about this all the time, man, off camera and on camera. In the SEC, you're always going to be playing dudes. There's going to be a couple guys on this Kentucky defensive line that go to the league, or a couple guys on offense for Kentucky that go to the league. You're not seeing that in the ACC, man. Like, you got a bunch of insurance salesmen. So I need you to do it against dudes that are actually going to be on the NFL level. Which this Mississippi State and Arkansas are comparable. I would say Arkansas has an elite offense, so maybe I'll throw it out of Arkansas. But it's like, dude, we've had games this year where, you know, even according to Vegas, we should be winning by more than we do. So I'm looking for the performance, man. This is one of those games. It's a performance game. It's a bounce back game, and I'm not going to feel good. Like, you won't hear playoffs leave my mouth if it takes a game winning kick against Kentucky. You just won't.
Yeah.
Like, this team's not there if that's the case. This is a game. We're 9.5 point favorites right now. I think it opened at like 11.5, 12.5. So again, the line is soaring towards the other team, which has been a theme this year, which is unfortunate. But it needs to be a double digit victory in my eyes to feel good, and it starts with the offense, man. The offense needs to be explosive. One last thing about the offense, Blake, before we move to the defense. I still think this team's strength is when they get up early.
Yeah.
You saw it in the Arkansas game, the defense started playing better when we got a multiple score lead, because at that point the opposing quarterback has to drop back and throw, and that's the strength of our team. Even though randomly the run defense decided to be the 85 Bears last week, but it just didn't matter. I don't expect that to continue. Like I mean, they've shown us so much bad that I expect Kentucky's probably going to be able to run the ball a little bit. So I want the offense to get a lead early so that Kentucky's forced to throw, and that's decent transition to the defense here. See if we can actually stop their passing
Yes.
attack.
Yeah, exactly. So offense, keep the pedal to the metal, get up early, show that you're going to bounce back, especially Joey Aguilar, bounce back from those mental mistakes. But the other part of that, Austin, is especially in terms of putting together a complete game, is the defense,
Yeah.
right? So let's talk about the defense. Pass rush obviously has been good up until the Alabama game. Would like to see that bounce back. Obviously, let's see how the secondary does. Linebackers. Talk us all through all of the position groups and kind of what we're looking at versus Kentucky.
Yeah, I start with Kentucky's quarterback situation. They started the year with Zach Calzada. He was really, really bad. They went to Cutter Boley. Boley has been less bad, but not good. He kept him in it against Texas. It's weird, man. I didn't watch the whole Texas Kentucky game, but they were moving the ball against Texas. I mean, Cutter Boley had, I think, close to 300 yards, if not 300 yards, in that football game, but they just couldn't put up points. So maybe a little bit like our offense in that sense, Blake, where they're struggle finishing drives, but maybe to a more extreme degree. Um, and then from our defense, I'm looking for a complete bounce back because I don't think we got torched against Bama or anything like that, but they didn't play their best ball. I mean, I don't think they came with a good game plan, and they just didn't play their best ball because, like you said, their pass rush has been really fantastic up until this point. But they just didn't win a ton against Alabama. They didn't win a ton. They got some pressure early, but it kind of fell off. And I thought Tim Banks didn't get creative with the pass rush at all. But against Kentucky, I would love to see a bounce back. I'd love to start, getting more sacks like we had all year. Put pressure on Boley, who, by the way, he's not a guy like Ty. Like, even though Ty Simpson is more of a pocket passer and that's how he wants to beat you, he can move a little bit in the pocket. Blake Cutter Boley,
Right.
I wouldn't expect that out of Cutter Boley. Like, he's not an elite athlete. He was Kentucky's backup quarterback to Zach Calzada, who was awful. So this is a guy we should be able to stifle. But we have to see it from this defense, man, because especially comparing it to last year's, dude. Like, we haven't had a shutdown performance. We've been good at creating turnovers here and there, good at getting sacks, but it's been most part like other teams are moving the ball on us and scoring points on us all year long, including Syracuse. So let's see. Let's shut down a team for once.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, let me say this first, Austin. Old freaking Cutter Boley. that's about the most Kentucky quarterback name I've ever heard.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we can't let this guy find his stride, and suddenly get this Kentucky offense clicking and finishing drives as you're talking about. So yeah, definitely need to get some pressure on him, bounce back in that way in terms of the sack performance from the defensive line. But what else, Austin? What are we looking at in terms of? I mean, so obviously our secondary, right? Look, if Jermon McCoy didn't come back against Alabama, there's no reason for me to believe that he's going to come back against Kentucky. So we're probably working with the secondary that we got. What are we thinking in terms of that, and in terms of just the rest of the defense?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if McCoy does come back this year. I don't think it's a specific game he's targeting. He's probably simply he's waiting to be cleared to play. So we'll see how that develops, and hopefully we get some good news at some point about McCoy during the year. But yeah, our secondary it's been inconsistent. Especially with the lack of depth, Blake, we've really relied on Colton Hood and Ty Redmond to be the two outside corners with very little depth behind those guys. And I continue to praise Colton Hood. He's played really well all year. He has some down moments, but corner's a very hard position to play. And then Ty Redmond, again, true freshman, inconsistency. It would be nice to have McCoy back. I don't, again, like you said, I don't expect it to happen during this game. And it's not like Kentucky has insane receiving options. I believe their best receiver is a transfer from Alabama, if I can find his name. Um, yeah, Kendrick Law. He's kind of been their leading receiver, but they spread the ball out a lot in their offense. They kind of get the ball to everyone. They just don't have a dominant option, I would say, at receiver. Last game, actually, the leading receiver was the running back. So, that's something to look out for. And with how our linebackers play in the pass game, that could end up being a problem against us as well.
Yeah.
I could see their running back ended up getting like 100 yards receiving against us. So yeah, that's another thing I'm watching out for is if we can cover the middle of the field. It's not gone well this year covering the middle of the field. Let's just say it like that. So can we cover the middle of the field against Kentucky, against their backs, their tight ends, whatever, or their slot receivers? So yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. And then even though I do expect the run defense to get worse, I am curious, like did they just figure it out, or was it just we dominated Bama in that way? The one thing we did dominate in that game was run defense, and maybe it continues, maybe it doesn't. But again, it's like one game of evidence versus the 5 or 6 others. I'm going to probably rely on the 5 or 6 others until they, give me a stretch of games here where it's
Yeah.
good consistently. So,
Going to go with the preponderance of evidence on that one for sure until proven otherwise. In this case, they're guilty until proven innocent when it comes to good run defense for sure. So be looking out for that for sure. Got to keep an eye on that Kentucky running back, whether it be in the pass game or on the ground. Austin, any other kind of final words on our defense and then the Kentucky offense, or just the game in general?
yeah, I would say again with the defense, it's about the consistency, and I would love to see a complete performance. Something again I've been begging for this year. That would help me get a stress free watch. Just watch the defense give up, less than 20 points, which shoot, I don't think we've done all year outside of maybe ETSU, which is I mean, even UAB put up over 24 against us or 20 against us, dude. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't have my fingers crossed, but it is a Kentucky offense who is, by the way, absolutely abysmal. Dude, this Kentucky offense is not good. I mean, just from every perspective, they've just not been very productive this year, putting up points or yardage. So I don't know, but maybe again, maybe we're their get right game. So we'll see.
Could be, but we need to get right game. We need to both on paper and just mentally bounce back, right? You just lost to your biggest rival on the road. You're now still on the road and playing a team that is going to play us gritty, like you said. Kentucky views us as their biggest rival. We don't return that sentiment, but they want to beat us. They if they want to beat anyone, they want to beat us. And so, how does, like you said, complete game? How does the team respond? Mentally, do you go out there and do you just beat the brakes off them like you should on paper? Beat the brakes off of a Kentucky team that is not what it has been in the past few years. It's not a great squad this year, and so can you score early, score often, and then can this defense hold up and then create a situation where we win by, like you said, double digits or more? That would be ideal. I
Yeah.
think that's definitely what this team really needs.
Also looking at Tim Banks and his performance,
Right.
thinking he's had a bad stretch here, man. I'll be honest. I think we're all feeling that
Yep.
way. It's been a rough stretch for Tim Banks. Um, and it's hard to point to one thing in the Alabama game. I can point to a couple plays here and there, like the one we complained about on the review show where it was 3rd and 2 and the linebackers dropped 15 yards in coverage. Just again, it's handling situations better, Blake, and it's third down defense in particular. Something we've also talked about, a theme this year. 3rd and 13, we gave up to start the game against Alabama. They were in a 3rd and 13, Blake, in their opening drive, in literally their opening sequence of the first drive on their third play, and we give that up. And it's just like stuff you can't do. You got to get off the field. Got to get off the field on third down. And it's players executing, but it's also Tim Banks putting his guys in the right position to execute as well. So, going to be looking at that, looking at the third down defense in this Kentucky game as well.
Gonna need Tim Banks to not get out coached. Absolutely, gonna need him to bounce back as well and put together a complete performance himself. So we'll be watching and hoping for sure for that from Tim Banks. But
Real quick, breaking news. We
oh
want
no,
Tony chants are currently breaking out at Lindsey Nelson. Tony Vitello acknowledged it and tossed a baseball to a fan in attendance. Don't know what that means, but I'm just reading the news, Blake. I'm reporting the
oh
news.
oh dear. Okay, all right. Well, there you go, folks. You got the latest from Lindsey Nelson. Austin just brought it to us. So, reminder: if you're just, for whatever reason, maybe you fast forwarded through the beginning, we are on Tony V Watch right now. We're in the war room. We are pre-recording this episode. It will live premiere at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. But at the time of this recording, the scrimmage is happening right now. So Austin is
Correct.
keeping an eye out for updates. So thanks for that update there, man. I don't know, dude. Gosh, it's tough. It's tough. Well, it obviously doesn't tell us anything really,
No.
but
And my light just
but
fell, so
we'll
maybe
see.
that's a bad sign. Who knows?
Perhaps it is. Maybe
We'll
we're gonna
see.
have to throw away that light now if this news doesn't go our way. So,
Sure.
but Austin, we've reviewed kind of the position groups and all of that. Let's get into the official score predictions. Kentucky versus Tennessee. We're on the road in Lexington, facing these Wildcats. I'll go ahead and throw out my prediction, brother. And this is probably wishful thinking from me, but I want us to score over 40 points again. So I'm going to say 42 points. 42
Okay.
points for the Tennessee Volunteers.
Okay.
And I need us to win by double digits. And really, brother, I need us to win in a blowout. 42-21 is
I
my
like
score
it.
prediction.
I
And
like it,
again, it
man.
might be wishful thinking.
I think it is. I don't see us putting up 42 in Lexington. I'm sure the wind will be howling. People have been saying on Twitter that apparently that's Kroger Field is like the coldest place on earth in October/November. That's what I'm hearing. That's the reports I'm getting from some Tennessee fans that have been there. So I don't know how cold it's going to be. I'm not a weatherman. I haven't checked the weather there. So I don't know, dude. Listen, I I think I'm at where a lot of fans are at. I'm gonna need to see it from this team first. A lot of inconsistent performances until they start putting together a win streak and consistent performances and beating teams they should in the fashion that they should. I don't know where I'm at with them. I do think we're going to do it against Kentucky, though. We own Kentucky. Heupel's owned Kentucky, even in years where Kentucky probably should have beat us. Heupel took care of that early in his Tennessee career. So I think we're going to win. We won't put up 40. I'm going to say 31-14. Okay, it's a not as dominant as I would like, but it is a solid win over 30. And yeah, give me 31-14 Vols.
I like it. I like it. I'm glad you brought that up about Heupel, right? He has taken care of business against Tennessee, and frankly, that is the baseline standard at the University of Tennessee for a football coach. You take care of Kentucky, you take care of Vanderbilt. Period. Call me an old head if you will, you know, whatever. That's the standard at University of Tennessee. Is you take care of Kentucky, you take care of Vanderbilt. It's that simple. So, gonna need him to do it again, even though we're on the road against the Wildcats in Lexington. So there you have it, folks. Our official score predictions. Put your official score prediction in the comments. Again, let us know what you think. Is this team going to bounce back in a big way? Austin, the smile on your face tells me that you're reading some more news on Twitter. What do you got
I
for
am
us?
seeing it's just people are talking about the chanting and stuff. It's just, I mean, here, let me go ahead and throw out the latest on the Tony V situation. So as Blake said earlier in the show, a scrimmage is happening today. I think it's like black versus orange scrimmage. And they just I'm assuming the scrimmage was already scheduled. However, they just opened it up to fans like this morning, or at least that was the news I saw. I don't know, maybe it was always open to fans, but it was all over Twitter this morning. And apparently now the porches, because the rest of the stadium, it's only the porches that are open because the rest of the stadium is under construction. Apparently the porches are packed now. There's chants for Tony V. Tony V is acknowledging it. Again, Blake, I'm this is where I'm at with it. I don't know if this means I doubt it means he's staying. But what I do want is this to be the day we know. I don't want to be thinking about this
Right.
tomorrow. You are
Yes, I know.
we had all these fans show up for the scrimmage, okay? Just tell us, just let us know. You can tell us directly. Tony gets on a mic and he lets the people know,
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm staying or I'm leaving, and thank you for the memories or whatever." But I just want to know. I just want to know. I
Yeah.
don't want the carrot dangled in front of my face any longer.
I can't handle it, man. We got to because we're at the end of the initial report said, hey, we're expecting a decision within 24 to 72 hours, so 1 to 3 days, and that was 72 hours ago. So we're at that window. So we want to
Correct.
know, Austin. I love putting on the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories. Do you think Tony V and Danny White are locked into a negotiation right now, and it was actually a tactic by Tony V to open up the scrimmage to the public to guilt Tony V
Or
with fans coming in?
or guilt Danny White, you mean? Yeah, I don't know,
No, no,
man.
no. Sorry, sorry. I think no. I think Danny White opened up the scrimmage
Oh.
to guilt Tony V.
Hmm. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know, man. The whole Danny White, I think, I think this is the time where we put the tinfoil hat to the side because it just doesn't help that people are like, it doesn't help that Danny White's seeing all the things on Twitter. It doesn't help that Tony's seeing all the things on Twitter. And I think Tony does a good job of probably staying off of it. But it's like, listen, I understand that Danny White hasn't had a perfect administration. I get that. It hasn't been perfect, but I do think it's been more good than bad. Now we can all agree Tony Vitello's administration and his time here has been damn near perfect, and everyone wants Tony V. And if you had to ask us, Tony stays versus Danny stays, we would probably all pick Tony. But it doesn't mean we have to go hate on the AD. I think Danny White has brought a lot of stability. Okay. I think he handled the Adidas situation well. Okay. And listen, people can be upset about chasing money and whatever. But in this day and age in college football, getting an or college sports in general, excuse me, getting that edge is important. It's very important in bringing the program forward and bringing more talent. Now, to address all the conspiracies around women's basketball versus college baseball and the lack of funds, I literally don't know if an ounce of that's true. It might be. It might be because apparently there's a guy who literally is just a guy, Blake. Like he's not a reporter. He's not
No.
like he's not on the administration. He's just a guy with a TikTok has spread this rumor and everyone has literally grabbed onto it like it's the
Yeah.
gospel. Is saying that, oh, programs like Arkansas are allocating their women's basketball funds fully to baseball, and that Tony's upset that he wants all those NIL funds just like Arkansas is doing for their baseball program. I just find that hard to believe, man. I think Tony V has been one of the best and biggest supporters of women's basketball. He loves Pat Summitt. He always brings up Pat Summitt and what she did for this university, and he shows the women's basketball team a lot of love. And like it's the University of Tennessee, man. They're never just going to say screw women's basketball. That's ridiculous.
You
We are
can't.
a blue blood in women's basketball. That's a
The blue
silly
blood,
thing. Yeah,
Austin. The blue
exactly.
blood.
Exactly. Like when we're talking blue bloods, it's like it's us in Connecticut, and that's it. Like as far as women's basketball is concerned, Blake. So it's like it's ridiculous to sit here and say, oh, well, all of just because you prefer baseball, all of that fun. And listen, full disclosure, I prefer baseball as well. If I had to decide to
Yes.
sit down and watch a women's Lady Vols game versus basketball game, I like both, but I would choose the baseball game just because I'm really into the baseball team. And it's not any shade towards the women's basketball, but I also know as a fan, it's like I also want the women's basketball team to be good, and it's ridiculous to think, oh, we're gonna defund women's basketball, which we are like it's Tennessee, man. It's the Lady
Yeah.
Vols. Like, come on, give me a break.
The Women's Basketball Hall of Fame for the world is in Knoxville.
Yes, exactly.
This so we got to support it. This is the house that Pat Summitt built. So, but also Austin, I don't buy into it very much because I mean this guy just brought in the number one recruiting class or is bringing in the number
Yeah,
one
that's a
recruiting
great
class.
point.
And and so look, do I think people want to play for Tony V? Absolutely. Do I think people want to be at the best University of Tennessee? Do I think people want to wear big freaking orange, baby? Yeah, hell yeah, I do. But in this day and age, it's also about the money. And
It is.
so I don't think he brings in as good of a recruiter as he is. I don't think he brings in the number one recruiting class if he didn't have enough money. So
Yeah.
obviously he's got enough money. Now, would I love him for him to have more money? Absolutely. I'm just saying that I don't know that there's a ton of credibility to that. Now, with that being said, also let me, I want to defend Danny White just a little bit.
Yeah.
People have brought up some great points that hey, he didn't hire Rick Barnes and he didn't hire Tony Vitello. That's a great point.
It is.
However, what Danny White has done is he has supported them in a tremendous way, and he has
Yeah.
made sure to keep them. And
I mean, he just let Rick
he's
Barnes sign
made
the lifetime contract. Like we didn't even
exactly.
bring that up on the show, which we probably should have,
Yep.
but signed the lifetime deal. He made Tony Vitello the highest paid college
I
baseball
exactly
coach.
what I was just about to say. Yep.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's fair. That's a fair thing to bring up. And again, it's not been perfect. It's not been perfect. But it's like the talent fees
No,
and all that. It's like, I get it. I get it. They want an edge. They want an edge. And so it's hard for me to believe that they have a rift, man. I think I genuinely wouldn't be surprised at all, Blake, if that was completely fabricated out of thin air. It wouldn't
sure.
surprise me in the least because this is what, listen, as awesome as I think our fan base is, as passionate as it is, you get a lot of this, man. You get a lot of
Yeah.
this. You get a
Yeah.
lot of tinfoil hat, people saying crazy things, and then people taking that. Like when you tell me your source for something is a message board, I have now stopped listening. Okay, I have now brought my attention to something else because you just said your source is someone from a message board. And listen, no disrespect for the people on the message boards. That's a fun time, but it's not where I would go get my information. My information would
Yeah.
not come from a Tennessee Vol message board. It just wouldn't. Okay. So, and I think that's a lot of where these rumors between Danny White and Tony Vitello butting heads has come from. And Blake, you brought up a fantastic point, which is how could he recruit at the highest level if there's been a lack of funds for the baseball team? How could that happen? And I don't know, maybe it's because it's going forward with this new cap and how this is all working out. And really all you could really, if there is a rift and there is an argument about allocation of funds and whatnot, you could really boil this all down to the NCAA's failure as an organization. Like and all this, and we covered this during the offseason, Blake, with the lawsuit and all that. So if you want to go check that out, you might be able to find that on our channel at some point. But the point is that, listen, it's a mess. It's a mess. And you have a bunch of, judges basically, maybe deciding Tennessee Vol fate and their legendary football or baseball coach, because, now you have this cap and you have to allocate funds to this, that, and the other. And, you have to find the right balance. But, I'm with you. I do want Tony Vitello to have all the support, full support, but it's not, listen, it's ridiculous to say that's going to come at the cost of our women's basketball team when, unlike Arkansas, we have a legitimate history in women's basketball. We can't really use that as and I don't think Tony would do that. I think he's too smart of a guy to do that. And it does feel like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but it does feel like baseball recruiting is a little bit less about the money and a little bit more about, going to play for a certain coach, Blake, rather than football. Like some football guys, it feels like, it is more about the money, and things like that. And I don't, and, I think I have theories as to why that is, but there's also just more money in football. So that could just simply be it. But I don't know, man. I just don't buy into all that stuff. I really don't. I don't buy into that. I think if Tony leaves, it's because he wanted to go compete at the highest level. I think that's his reality.
Yeah, and maybe he's just taking this time to. It's probably a friggin' tough decision.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an absolute superstar in the Knoxville area, obviously, and he has built an insane, incredible dynasty from literally nothing, right? I mean, I'm gonna throw out something crazy here, Austin. Nick Saban had Bear Bryant, before Nick Saban was ever born. There were great coach, General Nealon came before Philip Fulmer. Uh, Tony V is the General Nealon or the Bear Bryant of
Our
the
baseball program.
Tennessee baseball program.
Correct.
He built it from quite literally nothing. Um, the only thing that our baseball program has to fall back on is we had Todd Helton on the team once. Like that's it. There was no history, so he built it from nothing. So it's probably a tough decision for him because he is and like you said, he's the highest paid college baseball coach, and so he's in a great position, but he's torn because, man, it's the pinnacle of your craft, Major League Baseball. And so how can you not consider that at least? So maybe he is just torn. Now I'll play devil's advocate and I'll say, hey, look, it's what people are saying is also possible. Sure, it's possible that it could be true. I do tend to agree with you in terms of I don't know that Tony V would specifically be like, hey, take it from women's basketball and give it to me. I
Yeah.
think, if it were true, I think it would probably be more about percentages or even just like, hey, I want more resources. But again, to defend Danny White, which let me say this, like you said, Danny White hasn't been perfect at all. And could there be better? Maybe. But Tennessee fans, look, as a guy who grew up in the 90s, saw the excellence in the 90s, and then lived through, as you did, Austin,
I'm still
the
recording,
dark
baby.
ages, 15 years of 15 years of the dark ages, um, you know, and terrible athletic directors, Austin, terrible.
Yeah.
Danny White is much, much, much better than
And he
that.
brought
And
stability.
so he brought stability.
Yeah.
So, and he has supported Tony V. He really has.
Yes.
He's renovating Lindsey Nelson.
Yes,
He's
exactly.
giving them resources. So,
I mean,
I just, yeah,
I always talk about how Lindsey Nelson is now the stadium that Tony V built. And that's true because he brought the success to the program and that, made our athletic department want to invest in it. But at the same time, you have to get your athletic department to agree to invest in it. And Danny White has done so. And has made it a stadium with 1,700 capacity to over 6,000, continues to add seats and renovations. So yeah, I mean, he has. So that would be shocking to me if Danny White has done all these things and has supported the baseball program the way that he has, and then Tony V just turns the gun on him. I don't know. That seems surprising. And Tony is a very he's an open book, and like when he talks about this, I would love to him to acknowledge those things and just to see, like, if you do decide to
right,
leave to go to the majors, and I talked about this on the last show, Blake, it's so much different if you would went to another college. But if you do decide to leave to go to the majors, just tell us, like, is it because you never got to achieve the dream as a player to go play in the major leagues, and now you get to do so as a coach slash manager, and that's a dream come true, and you want to try to win the World Series, which is the pinnacle of baseball? It's fine. Then listen. I have no ill will towards Tony. Will it make me sad? Yes, because our like you said, our Robert Nealand or our Pat Summit of the baseball program has now
yeah,
left, and which is devastating. However, no ill will whatsoever. It will be pretty upsetting if there is truth to the rift and whatnot,
right,
because it's just, again, I talked about bringing stability. Well, that would be the opposite of stability. That would be
instability. Yep,
instability and not being able to retain a baseball coach over that. Who, by the way, I have a national championship flag in here. Like he won it in 2024, and has consistently put Tennessee at the top of college baseball. So yeah, that would be pretty disappointing. Like, that would be more so, okay, now I'm upset. It's gonna, who I'm upset at is just kind of depends on how it all plays out. But I'll be pretty upset if there's more to the story other than, hey, I just wanted to go be in the major leagues because I never got a chance to do that, and I want to go try to win a World Series.
yeah, exactly. It's so weird, seeing on social media, people like vaguely say that Tennessee fans are saying, like, bad stuff about Tony V or something, like it's a Lane Kiffin situation or something like that. I do think I saw one fool say that, this would be like Lane Kiffin for me. Look, the majority of fans are reasonable.
Yep.
The Lane Kiffin situation was, look, if
Completely different.
y'all were a lot of our Vol Talk listeners are some old heads. They were definitely alive for that. They know the deal. That was completely different. So, yeah, most Vol fans, I would say over 95%, are completely reasonable and understand, hey, look, he might want to go chase the pinnacle of his. Because Austin, I think we mentioned this maybe when we briefly touched on it in our last episode, maybe not, but he would not most likely not be getting a pay raise going to the majors.
No,
He
it's not
he
about
because
money.
he's exactly. It's not about money because he, as a first-time manager in the majors, he will most likely, almost guaranteed, be making less money than he is at the University of Tennessee. So it's not about money. It
It's
would be completely, or at least his paycheck anyway. It would be about chasing the top.
Yes, exactly. And and maybe there is a rift about, NIL funds and trying to get more for the players. And then from that case, I would kind of respect that out of Tony to a certain degree. I just gotta say, there's a massive "Please Stay Tony V" sign currently hanging up in Lindsey Nelson right now. It's gotta be 10 feet by 10 feet at the very least, maybe 20 feet. It's absolutely huge. People showed up, man. People showed up. And I, like you said earlier, dude, this is not an easy decision for Tony. I think he loves it here, man. I think he loves the people.
Yeah.
He loves
How
the
couldn't you?
university.
How couldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, but I think he loves it to a different like, Heupel's done a lot of great things here. I think he likes it here. I think Tony likes it to a different level, man. I think he's shown so much support to the other programs here on campus, no matter what it is, even to the sports that we don't even cover, Blake, like tennis and golf, and like he's shown so much support to all those programs, and just what he built, man. I mean, I'll never forget the videos of them like fundraising, and he's got like a lemonade stand set up, and there's like no
Yeah,
fans around, and I don't know what they were raising money for. I doubt it was the baseball program. I think it was for some charity or something. But like, dude, if Tony
yeah,
V was at a lemonade stand right now in Knoxville, you would see at the very minimum 500 to 1,000 people swarming him. And that just
yeah.
wasn't the case in 2017, man. So yeah, it's also upsetting because he is quite literally responsible for my fandom of college baseball. Like I would not be a fan of the
Yeah.
sport if it wasn't for Tony Vitello, and it really just opened me up to the sport because I'm like, wow, like this is just a fantastic sport. I mean, it's literally everything I love about college athletics, but it's the baseball version of it. And it turns out, I like that. Like I actually enjoy that quite a bit.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
so from that perspective, it's upsetting if he does leave. But yeah, man, like at the end of the day, and you brought up a good point. I saw that exact post you're talking about saying how, and this is the problem. And I say this all the time. What a lot of people do on social media, man, they create a fake scenario to get upset about,
Yes.
and that is
Yes.
that's really what's happening. I have seen very few, especially fans that aren't behind a screen, which by the way, those could be burners. Those could be Kentucky fans with
Yes.
absolutely
Exactly.
nothing going on in their lives, dude, to make it seem like Tennessee fans are crapping on, or better yet, LSU fans, which is one of the weirdest fan bases out there, could literally be an LSU fan, literally creating a burner to like try to get Tony Vitello to leave by spreading crap, like comparing it to Lane Kiffin. Let me be clear. Not only is it a completely different situation because of what Lane Kiffin did and versus what Tony Vitello is doing and all that. Tony Vitello is a champion, dude. Don't ever compare him to the low life that is Lane Kiffin. Okay, Lane Kiffin's got Ole Miss competitive, whatever. Two completely different caliber of coaches. Okay, two completely different caliber of coaches. So it's completely different on so many levels. And like I think we're all to the point where it's like no one's gonna be upset at Tony. Like no one's gonna be like have ill will towards him. I'll root for him no matter where he's coaching at next year. It's just gonna suck. It's just gonna suck.
Gonna suck.
It's gonna be another example of why we have battered Vol syndrome. It's gonna be another example of it because it's like we get this awesome thing, we get this awesome team to root for, and we lose the head of that, what created it, and I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain it after and if he leaves.
It will certainly deepen the resurgence of battered Vol syndrome if he were to leave. But if he were to have a heroic, incredible, insane moment where he announced he was staying, that would be something else. That would be crazy. I don't want to get my hopes up because the BVS is very strong
No doubt.
right now. But we do hope he stays. Austin, I also have to correct you. Look, you said, hey, we don't cover golf, we don't cover, these sports. We talk all things volunteer sports. Now, do we talk about them extensively? No, but we will shout them out if they're winning.
If they win.
Because brother, there was a moment on this podcast where we talked about the University of Tennessee Microsoft Excel team.
I do
Okay.
remember that.
So if you are a volunteer sport and you are winning, we will shout you out and we will talk about it on
Correct.
the Vol Talk podcast because we talk all things volunteer sports, baby. So golf team, we hope you do great this year.
Yeah.
But no offense to golf. More importantly than that, Tony V,
Yeah.
please stay.
Please stay.
People
are
stay. Any
people
updates
are,
from Twitter?
No, I'm not seeing many other updates. I will say people are hoping for the for the Wolf of Wall Street moment where he's like in the
Yes.
office or whatever. He's like, I'm
I'm
not
not effing
effing
leaving.
leaving. I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be phenomenal, dude. That would be great. It would definitely soften the blow of talking about this inconsistent football team that we have to talk about all week for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And so
I was gonna say that it would soften the Alabama loss for sure. Because if he leaves, then the Alabama day becomes the worst day
oh,
in Tennessee
correct.
sports
That is
history.
correct. That is
Uh,
correct.
you know, but if
Because
he
yeah,
stays, that would be absolutely legendary.
listen, we were underdogs against Alabama, so us losing was obviously like that was the expected outcome. Us losing that game doesn't make us feel better. We were still really pissed off after the game. Just go watch our review to see that. That's another thing
Yep.
that kills me with stuff you see on Twitter. People are like, "Oh, well, what is there to be upset about?" Like it's like, well, we just lost our biggest rival. That's one thing to be upset about. But. Uh, but yeah, it would really suck because I would pretty much unexpected outcome of Tony V going to the majors. That was out of nowhere in a sense, even though like his name was shouted out before, but it never really felt real until that day. And then it's like, like I just understate what Tony V meant to Vol baseball. Like it's if Heupel left football, it would suck. It would suck because we have a good coach on our hands. But Tony V is leaving is literally like Pat Summit leaving in the middle of her reign, or Robert Nealon leaving in the middle of his reign. It's that comparable to what Tony V has done for the baseball program. So we'll see, man. We're keeping a
For
pulse on it.
We're keeping a pulse on it because for the moment, Austin, he is Tennessee baseball. Uh,
Yes,
you know,
correct.
I mean that he is Tennessee baseball. So we're definitely going to keep a pulse on it, folks. Austin is going to be watching Twitter up until the very moment that we end this podcast, and we might have to go live even if we end this recording if news
Oh,
drops.
so
Anything?
apparently I do have something else. Dude, this is crazy.
Oh
This
no!
this is the this is starting to get out of hand of just everything coming out about this and whatnot. Um, Apparently the ball that he threw into the stands said "Much love, go Vols," but it wasn't signed Tony Vitello. But someone apparently on Twitter says they can confirm it's his handwriting. I don't. It's ridiculous at this point. But it's just I don't know, man. Like much love, go Vols. That could be a goodbye. Like
It
much
could be
love.
it could be a goodbye, or it could be a it
Yeah,
could be a positive. Yeah, who
yeah. I
knows?
don't know, man. If I, not trying to be a negavol here or anything like that. But if I had to guess, I would say he is probably going to take the Giants job. If not, he's waiting out potentially. Maybe the Braves are trying to interview him, and he's like, "Well, man, maybe I can, go get that job and make it less bad for some Vols fans or something. Who knows?" I will say though, I will be frustrated if we don't know by tomorrow morning. Like if we don't know by tomorrow morning, I
Man,
will be extremely frustrated.
need to know. We're hanging on the edge of our seat for sure. So definitely hope that something just let us know what's going to happen. Let us know one way or another for sure. But as Austin said, folks, we will be keeping a pulse on it, and we will once the news does drop, we will probably make another video or depending on when it happens, go live or something. We'll drop something, depending on the news. Austin, I would love a legendary clip to cover a legendary moment if he's gets out there at the end of the scrimmage. I'm not effing leaving. That would be fantastic. Let's hope it's that and not the other way around. But
Yeah.
we will
Let's
see.
see.
We'll see. I'm like Austin. I'm as it stands right now. I have a pessimistic outlook. I think he's probably leaving, but we will hope for the best, folks, and we will keep a pulse on it. It's been a fun episode, Austin. We have previewed the Kentucky game and looked at official score predictions for the Kentucky game. So again, drop your comments down below. Let us know what your score prediction is for Tennessee versus Kentucky. And then also let us know in the comments what you think of the Tony V situation. We'll probably release a segment of that discussion as a standalone clip But still, let us know in this episode. What do you think about Tony V and this kind of situation that is unfolding? But whatever you think, folks, if you are one of those people who's stuck on Twitter right now, please go outside, get some sunlight, and enjoy the day as well. But we will see you guys if we don't see you for a Tony V update, we will definitely see you on the other side of the Kentucky game when we review that game on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Until then, folks, as always, baby, go freaking Vols.
GBO.